Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name is Lucas and today we're going to be building something with Spline. It's basically like a crash course, a Spline crash course for web designers and web developers using Framer. So basically we're going to learn how to create stuff with Spline. We're going to kind of understand the interface a little bit, and then we're going to create something cool like a nice hero section, export it and bring it into our Framer project, right? So if you don't know me, my name is Lucas and I talk a lot about designing and building advanced and stunning websites in Framer. So yeah, today we're gonna see Spline. Spline is a great 3D tool, web-based, and all you gotta do is create an account. You can do that with your Google account, or you can do that with your email. And once you're in, you're basically logged into this dashboard like you see right here. And you have different things on the left-hand side. You have your home, you have your files that you've seen before. You can generate things with AI. This is for the paid tool. By the way, I'm using the free version. Then you have files that are shared with you. You have community projects just like in Framer, where you have different types of files that can be remixed and brought to your Framer project, right? So we can see here a few interesting projects. For example, I saw this one. I thought it was really cool. It's like a robot that follows your mouse, right? Like this, as you can see, with Spline, and actually bring it into Framer, right? And right down here, you can basically remix it, and that's how it works. So, but today we're gonna go home and we're going to create a new file. And let's imagine that we want to create a hero section that has a text and maybe like a shape, like a kind of like a glass shape or something on top that interacts with the mouse, right, as you hover over it. So before we do that, let's kind of understand the whole interface here. So the first thing that I like to do when I discover a new tool is like, how can I move around? Well, I can see that I'm zooming in and out with my trackpad. I can hold space and kind of move just like similarly to Framer and to Figma, where I can just move around the canvas like this, which is great. I can also move with my two fingers. But this is two-dimensional. How can I convert it to the three-dimensional? Well, there's two ways. We can either hold, if you're on a Mac, hold down Option, or if you're on a Windows, Alt, I believe. So hold down that and then start dragging, right? And then you can see the square, this gray square, and then there's like this white like line with another little square, right? And as you can see, I'm hovering over this thing, and then on the left-hand side, you can see directional light. So this is basically the light, right? So this is a light against a gray square. And if we were to press play, it would kind of look like this, right? So let me go back here. And what I like to do also is that, sometimes you pan around like this, but you're not really in the middle, right? Like right here, we're not really in the middle. What we want to do is we want to double click here, make sure that this blue is in the front, not in the back, right? So now we're in the front of the canvas, and you can click on these different areas here, and it's going to take you to that specific section, right? So let's just click on the blue. That's the main one. So we have also this like orthographic perspective, and then we have the normal perspective. So this is basically like the real 3D. The other one is more isometric in a way, right? But I would honestly prefer this perspective one, right? So let's click on this blue one, and so that's like the main way of navigating through the frame. Now let's navigate through this UI a little bit. So on the left-hand side, we have objects. So this is basically like our scene, and our scene can kind of be compared to like a page in Framer. So we have scene 1. We can call this scene, for example, hero, if we double click. And then we have, like we said, our rectangle and our directional light. And down here we have a library which basically is like, if you want to compare it to something like Framer or like Figma, it's kind of like a component library, right? We have different pre-made shapes, objects, yeah, different objects that we can use for our project. We have like different emojis, for example. We have bags, we have icons, buildings, Christmas stuff, you name it. There's a bunch of them here. And basically what you can do is, if we were to, for example, want that little emoji that we saw earlier over here, we can just drag and drop it into our scene and boom, it's as a 3D icon, right? So that's with the library. And up here, we have different things as well. We have this plus tool, which seems to have like the main priority here. And basically what that is creating a new object, sorry. So you can also go through the library here, or you can create another rectangle, an ellipse. So these are all 2D objects that you can create, and you can eventually, manipulate in the future, right? So these are different objects that you can create. So if we were to, for example, go in this direction and create a 2D object, it would basically be in the same position as this rectangle, but also 2D, right? So let's delete that. Let's click back on this blue icon, on this blue button, and let's see what else they got here. So we got these different shapes, and we got this over here. So basically this is like a text and a text input. So we can basically create text apart from just shapes and create inputs like for, an interactive type of graphic, which is pretty cool. We have this particle emitter. So they basically like release particles. And here we have different shapes. So for example, we can build a sphere. But these shapes, as you can see, are three-dimensional. They're not saw earlier, right? So if we were to press play, it would basically, look something like this, right? So let me click back on this blue. Let's delete this, and let's see what else is here. And then we have, different shapes. We have this. We have a bunny, and then we can group certain things. Like for example, this emoji is pre-created. It's a sphere with different parts of a cube, and at the end it's grouped into one emoji, right? So you can also add groups. And then you can add other things. You can add a camera so that it's in one specific perspective. We can add a point light, a directional light, and a spotlight. So spotlight we can add like this. And let's see if the spotlight is based on this specific character. And we can't really see it right now, but eventually we will add this and we will see this. So apart from that, basically this is like the main button here, and then we have other things as here as well. And then over here on the right side, this is basically like our editing the properties of a specific layer. So if we were to, for example, click on the red right eye of this emoji, we could change the material, right? We can break this and change the material and make it a glass, right? So it's now a glass material instead of a red light. So we can delete these by being like this, or we can make it glass, and we can even go down here and have it like as an overlay or as a screen, and kind of mess around with these different options. So here this would be like a red glass, as you can see, right? So let's click here, let's zoom out a little bit. And all right, and then we have different states and different events. So these states and events are actually add interactivity. We're gonna see that at the end. Let's just first build our graphic, but basically you can add like the events for the mouse follow event, right? So if your mouse moves around, a specific layer is gonna follow your mouse, like for example, the emoji. We can actually use this emoji for what we wanna build. I actually like it, right? So let's actually look at something before we delete this. And this something is are these little arrows here, right? So we have this one with the arrow, and that basically moves. So let me just delete this. And if we select this arrow one moves the object, right, to a specific location without breaking the scaling, right? It just moves the object. And then we have, if we zoom in, well, we have this arrow, and then we have this, which basically does the scaling, right? So if we were to hold down Shift, it would scale upwards towards that direction. If we wouldn't hold down Shift, it would go like this, right? Which is horrendous. Then we have this, which I don't know if you see it here in the middle. It basically lets you move it around in a way that's not so linear, right? Likewise with this one. So these are the different ones. And then, for example, this one would be more of a rotation. So rotation in this axis, and then this one would be a rotation in the other axis, right? So, and then we have these things here, which is basically to scale it in a certain way as well. If you hold down Shift, it scales all the parts. If you don't hold down Shift, it's gonna get a little bit strange. It's a free scale, you can call it. And that's that. So I think we know, we're not experts in Spline. Obviously, there's a lot to know. We have to actually also build something. But today, I just want to, I'm a big fan of using stuff from the community and trying to, you know, actually be a generalist and learn different things, not go too deep. So what we can do is we can delete this guy, keep this directional light, stay in the middle, and what we can do is try to build something. We can build like a nice hero section for this specific project, right? So what I want to do is I want to change the background color of this scene. So I want to actually make it a dark color, and I want to add a rectangle that would be kind of the background of our text. Let's move this up here. We press play, nothing happens, nothing fancy. No problem. All right. So we got the rectangle. Let's also make this rectangle a little bit darker maybe. And what we want to do is let's add a text, and let's place the text here, and let's move this text like this, and let's write I love, so we can go here, I love building framer sites, and then let's just bring up this font size, and we can actually edit the font, which is pretty cool. We can make it like this. We can get some cool font like Rubik and adding a kind of bold to it. We can adjust the line height to make it like this, and we can make it centered. Something like this looks pretty cool for now. The color is also like this gray color. I want it to be more of a white, like a white like this. Perfect. And oh, actually, let's keep it like this. There we go. And now I just want to start experimenting on certain things, right? So I want to go to here, and then want to go to the library again. And in the library, let's start adding our little emojis. So we can drag and drop and move and go ahead and scale everything, right? So we can actually scale this to be larger. We can do that scaling here. We can adjust the positioning here as well with the Z index to go like this. Let's remove that perspective and make it like that. What we can also do is we can select it and we can duplicate it by clicking on Command D in the Mac. And we can move that duplicate to be a little bit higher, something like this, and we can even adjust this one to be smaller. Now, what we can do also is we can get these different, let's go back here, select the eyes exactly, and let's just do this. Let's add a glass effect like we saw earlier with this multiply. And let's do the same thing with this one, multiply. We can do the same thing with the mouse, with the mouth, not the mouse. Add glass and multiply, and then let's do the same with this, with the sphere, right? So now, well, we'll see. Let's just remove this, add color, no, glass, yes, and multiply. Okay, this multiply isn't looking so good. Maybe we can reduce it a little bit to make it look better. Yeah, this looks pretty cool, right? And maybe we can adjust it later, but it's looking pretty nice. We can delete this one, and again, just duplicate this and move it so we don't have to redo the properties again. Make it a little bit smaller in an easier way, like this. Perfect. All right, and now it's starting to look good. It's starting to look good. And now with the text, we can even add some extrusion so that it's not completely 2D. It's like a little bit 3D, and we can adjust kind of these settings as well, just to make sure to see if it's necessary. No, it's not. Yes, it casts a shadow, these as well. This one is going to be a light color. And then if we move it around, okay, it's looking pretty cool. But I would like this part in the back to be fixed, and I don't want the actual text to be draggable. I only want these two things to follow my mouse, right? I mean, honestly, what we can do is we can also delete this part right here. We don't really need that rectangle now that I'm thinking of it. And we can get this text and actually make it larger. I would say something like 120 pixels, making this a little bit wider. There we go. And maybe zooming out, let me see. We can click on here to preview how it's going to look like, the frame. Okay, we want it to be a little bit smaller. And let's get away from this. Let's move this down. Preview the frame again, okay. And let's move these guys down as well. So let's preview it again. Beautiful. Okay. What I also want to do is I want to bring this light up here, and I want to edit this light a little bit. So right now we have a light with a little intensity. We can just up the intensity and see how it affects the whole scene, right? Makes the whole scene a little bit more intense, right? And we can also add different type of resolution to this light. Different light size, right? Which is gonna, you can really see in the shadow how it affects the actual scene, right? If it's larger, it looks like this. If the light is blurred, there's less of a shadow. So we can actually make the size smaller, but the blur more. We can increase this penumbra which honestly, I don't know, making just the scene a little bit sharper. And yeah, there's other things that we can also adjust the light for. And like I said, and like I showed you guys before, we can also add different other types of lights, like a kind of like a point light. And this point light, yeah, who knows where it is, but it's somewhere. And you can basically move the position, well, as you can see here. So let's actually move the position of the point light to be a little bit further away. And we can actually change the color to be more red. So you can see here there's like a red color coming off, right? If we were to move this a little bit more somewhere else, you can kind of see that it's acting in a different way. But let's remove that. We don't really need that. I just want to see what the different types of lights are here. We can also add a spotlight, like I was saying before. The spotlight can also, let's just make it a red, and let's kind of see how that works. So here's my spotlight again, and I guess you can see it if you hover above this. Let's increase the intensity a little bit. I mean, it's not really such a big difference that it makes. I mean, you can see it with the emoji, for example, on the right side. That does make a little bit of a difference, but we don't really need that, right? Let's just click here and click on backspace delete, and let's go back to our main view here. Okay. So now what we can do is we can actually, let's just maybe duplicate a little bit more, make the scene a little bit nicer, happier, right? Increase the size a little bit of this, move this around, maybe over here to the bottom. And what I want to do is I want to bring these emojis into one group. So we can group the selection, and then for this group, what we can do is we can, well, for each one, it can have its own event, right? So it won't be a start event; it would be a follow event. So this one can be a little bit, slower, maybe 2, and we can increase this damping to 10. For this one, it can be also a follow. And we can increase this, we can leave the speed at 5 and make this 8. And this one, we can make it follow and reduce the speed to 3 and make the damping to 20, right? So now if we were to press play, it would kind of look like that, right? So it would basically follow the mouse. And we can also do the same for the text, but it wouldn't be follow. It would be kind of like a tilt, right? It would hover, like once you hover your mouse over it, it would kind of like a tilt, right? But we can do this while exporting and bringing this to Framer. So let's try to do that. So let's try to export it, and I want to see the different options first. So we have a public URL, we have place settings, right? So this is what I wanted to see, right? We have different like on hover, orbit camera, sensitivity, we can make it like a little bit down. So we can adjust all of these different settings. But first thing that I want to do is I want to go to Framer, and we're here in this project, and I want to go here on the plus and type in Spline, I guess. No, it's not Spline. Maybe it's a plugin. No. Let me see exactly how we can do that. So one way of actually doing it is just copying the embed code. So if we were to go here, copy embed, and then we'd have to, well, I can't remove the logo, but if you have a pro version, you can remove the logo. You can fix more things, I guess. I don't want to do this zoom or this orbit one. I want to do pan, yes, maybe. So let's just update and let's copy the embed link again. And let's go to Framer now, and let's just go here to plus, and instead of searching for spline, let's just click on the embed one and see how that works, right? So actually there's a way to do it with HTML. So if I were to click on paste here, okay, we have our spline, and basically what we can do is just set the width to 100 and set the height like this. Okay, interesting. It's not really working so nicely. So what we can do is we can go back to Spline and kind of see how to fix this. One way of actually doing it is by clicking plus here and adding a camera, right? So if we were to use this camera like this, we can basically export it in a way that it's viewed to the camera, right? So camera, scene one, update viewer, and let's maybe copy the embed link. Maybe this works as well. So we can go back to Framer and go here and remove that HTML code from here and press paste to here. Oh, no, it doesn't work. So let's just go back here and click on this embed code and go to HTML. And now it's working. So let's see what this is. Okay, so basically the camera stays in its strange fashion where it stays in the top and doesn't really fit the screen. So let's see how we can do that. There has to be some type of responsive setting over here. Okay, going back to my scene, if I select this and I go back here, it says it's a custom size, and I don't want that. I want it to be responsive. So let's actually do it again. Let's update the viewer, and let's copy the embed and remove this and paste it again. It should be working this time. Okay, perfect. Now it seems to work. So this is a good first step to building sites with Spline and Framer. Now with every tool, it's kind of a learning curve to learn all of this, right? But you can find interactive ones. You know, for example, there's one that I found today, this one that I thought was pretty cool, and I actually embedded it into this project. You can actually see how it interacts, right? And if you adjust the sizing in the different screen sizes, you'd get something. You can adjust the responsiveness of the different screen sizes. So Spline works in a fantastic way with Framer. You can also duplicate things. It doesn't have to be, you know, the whole width of the screen, but you can also put this on the very right hand side of the screen, and we can add them, put them into stacks, make this add another stack into a stack, combine them with text and with images in your Framer project, right? If I were to go like this and put this into my stack as well, make this kind of fill width and make this a fill width as well. We can, as you can see, view the different sizes. We can make this like a black background and put text here, and then on the right, instead of this text, we can have something like this cool cube. So if we can just find it in the community, kind of edit it to our style, remix it by going down here, clicking on remix, Once you click on remix, then you can have the chance to actually export it, right? And copy the embed code and bring it into your Framer project. So it's as easy as that, really. Like, it's just embedding and kind of editing the size in Spline, making it, adjusting it to your screen size in Framer, and then you can add like different text here, like hello, making it obviously white, adding the hero, the different headings, descriptions, buttons alongside these different Spline animations. So basically that's it in a nutshell. Hope you guys enjoyed this little crash course today. It was quite simple, but again, you just need like the simple things sometimes, just to be a generalist web designer and provide the best kind of quality for your clients, right? So if you like this tutorial, please feel free to comment, and if you didn't like it, please let me know so I can improve my process at the end of the day, right? So thank you guys so much, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye bye.